Daily, millions of people use plastic water bottles or bags they later on throw away. More than 1 billion single use plastic bags are given out without charge daily all over the world. And that number is only increasing. Hundreds of millions of these plastic bags we use end up in the oceans. That number, sadly, is also increasing. Plastic already makes up 40% of the world's oceans. There is a silent killer in our ocean, and we put it there.
Based on a study published in journal Science, we annually release 5.4 million to 14 million tons of plastic into the ocean. Let's emphasize that number. An elephant weighs 5 tons, so 9 million tons of plastic is equal to 1,800,000 elephants. 9 million tons of plastic is also equal to 136 billion plastic milk jugs. If you stack them, they'd reach more than halfway to Mars.
Daily, animals die from eating the plastics we put into their water. Turtles, dolphins, seals, seabirds, whales, and several other species are killed daily due to entanglement or digestion of the plastic we put in their waters. Several species are on the verge of extinction due to this, and several have already gone extinct.
Most sea mammals and animals mistake our silent killers as their food. Due to that, it is almost everywhere.
Many people thought that the plastic in the sea mostly came from ships, but it turns out that 80% of it is from land. Some of that is runoff, some are blown from nearby landfills, and some of it is dumped directly into the sea. The other 20% comes from ships at sea, such as large cruise ships, which throw their trash overboard. For example, ghost nets. Fishing nets intentionally or unintentionally thrown overboard is what many organisms in the ocean end up getting entangled in.
About 80% of the garbage in the ocean is plastic. This is because a large amount of the trash since World War II is plastic, and it is said that the amount of plastic made until the year 2000 is less than the amount of plastic we created this decade.
This graph supports the statement of that the amount of plastic until year 2000 is less than the amount of plastic we created this decade. The graph shows about how much plastic was made and is predicted to be made through years 1860 until 2020. Based on the graph, it shows that plastic production started majorly increasing in the 1940s and continued increasing quicker over time. The graph also shows that around year 2000 until now, more plastic has ever been made than any other point after the 1940s, about when World War II ended.
Many types of plastic don't biodegrade, so they just gradually build up in quantity. Many other types of plastic are photodegradable, meaning they break up in sunlight. The process only works when plastic is dry, but plastic trash in the sea does eventually break down into smaller pieces, even into tiny particles of plastic.
The North Pacific Gyre, better known as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, is the largest gyre of plastic debris in the world found in the North Pacific Ocean. It is twice the size of Texas, and plastic outnumbers fish food sources such as zooplankton 6 to 1. Animals think the small particles of plastic debris is food and end up eating them or getting entangled in bigger pieces of plastic debris. According to a new study, the amount of plastic trash in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch has increased 100-fold over the past 40 years.
Turtles eat most of the plastic they find, and it blocks their digestive tracts. The trapped food decomposes, causing gases to be created inside the turtle. This causes the turtle to float, unable to dive for food, causing it to starve to death. This is only one of the several ways it affects turtles. Entanglement or ingestion of plastic debris is also a huge issue, for not only turtles but several other species.
A study on 93 sea turtles that were stranded on the coast of the Canary Islands between January 1998 and December 2001 showed that 24.78% of them died due to the entanglement in derelict fishing nets.
If sea turtles go extinct, it will have many effects on the ecosystem. For example, green sea turtles eat seagrass. Seagrass is like long grass. It needs constant cutting to be healthy. And green sea turtles is one of the few species that eat seagrass. Seagrass beds are important because they provide breeding and developmental grounds for many species, including fish, shellfish, and crustaceans. If sea turtles go extinct, there will be a decline in seagrass beds, as well as a decline in all other species dependent on seagrass beds for survival.
The Hawaiian monk seal is one of the many species on the verge of extinction due to our plastic they find in their oceans. In Hawaiian monk seal habitats, there are several tons of plastic, and death by entanglement or ingestion is extremely common. These areas also serve as pup nurseries, and all of these entanglement and ingestion deaths are undermining their recovery efforts. For these seals, as well as several other animals, including the stellar sea lion, their efforts to overcome extinction aren't doing much.
Our silent killers don't only affect the animals in the water, it affects the ones in the air too. Hundreds of thousands of seabirds ingest plastic they find floating on the surface each year, and the ingestion reduces the storage volume of their stomachs, causing them to consume less and in many cases starve. 97.5% of lace and albatross chicks have pieces of plastics in their stomachs. As their parents feed them the plastic, they mistake for food. Based on the amount of plastic found in seabirds' stomachs, the amount of plastic in the ocean has increased rapidly over the past 40 years.
Our silent killers don't stop their killing with only the smaller animals of the ocean and the air, but also the bigger ocean mammals. In 2008, 2 sperm whales were found stranded along the California coast, both with large amounts of fishing net scraps, rope, and other plastic debris in their stomachs.
Serious entanglement in whales also reduce their feeding ability and lead to death from starvation. Why should we care? Why do we need to even bother saving these animals or try to reduce our plastic usage? Well, think of it this way. It doesn't only affect animals, it affects us too.
Fish in the ocean ingest about 12,000 to 24,000 tons of plastic per year. This causes them to become poisoned, but what we don't realize is that that affects us too. We eat the fish and drink the water contaminated by the toxics in plastic, and it exposes us to human toxic chemicals as well.
The side effects of what may happen when intoxicated by these toxics includes cancer, birth defects, immune system problems, and childhood developmental issues.
For example, there is a toxin in plastic known as bisphenol A, BPA, mainly used in plastic water bottles. It is a chemical that interferes with hormonal function.
What will happen if our population grows, doubles, triples? The world's biggest plastic polluters are China, India, and the US. By 2050, India will have 1.7 billion people, China will have 1.34 billion people, and the US will have 388 million. The overall global population will be about 9 billion people, and with more people comes more plastic usage, plastic production, and plastic pollution, as well as the extinction of many species.
You may not be able to do much, but you can do something. The next time you go shopping, bring your own reusable bag and don't buy plastic water bottles that aren't reusable. Generally, try to minimize the amount of plastic you use. You can also encourage others to do the same, minimize their plastic usage. You can also donate to several organizations which help animals and also try to minimize the usage of plastics.
Plastic pollution has already affected a minimum of 276 species. Let's not let our silent killers keep killing. Let's stop it.